My entitled cousin showed up in a wedding dress to MY Wedding. I, 28F, got married 5 weeks ago to the love of my life, Josh, 31M. We've been together for almost 6 years and got engaged in late 2023. I'm a pretty chill person, and so is Josh. We wanted a medium-sized wedding, about 80 guests, mostly close friends, family, and some co-workers. Now, let me introduce the star of this post, my cousin Talia, 31F. Talia is my mom's sister's daughter, and she's, how do I say this kindly, an attention vacuum. Talia has always had this weird competitive energy with me, even though I never really played into it. We're both only children, so maybe there was some weird cousin rivalry dynamic that developed? I honestly don't know. Growing up, she had to outdo everyone. If I got a part in a school play, she accidentally let it slip that she got a modeling offer. If I won an academic award, she would loudly say, "Oh, I thought you hated school," before listing her own accolades. At family gatherings, it was always about her latest job, her new boyfriend, spoiler. There were many, her outfits, her crash diets, her whatever. If someone else started getting attention, she'd find a way to shift it back to herself. I learned pretty young to let her talk, nod politely, and then go home and decompress. Our moms are close, so Talia and I have had to be in each other's lives more than either of us probably wanted. But when I got engaged, I decided I'd be civil, send her an invite and hope she'd behave. Spoiler, she did not behave. Looking back, I should have seen this coming. A few days after I posted our engagement photos on Instagram, Talia texted me with a message that set the tone for what was to come. OMG, I didn't even know you were engaged. Congrats, girl Redheart. I just thought you'd wait a bit longer, LOL. Wait a bit longer for what? We'd been together for 6 years. But whatever, I thanked her and moved on. A week later, she called me, not to congratulate me, but to ask, "So, what kind of dress are you going for? I just think certain body types should stick to A-line." I almost dropped my phone. I'm a curvy woman, and I've always been confident in my body. But she knows exactly how to take a dig and disguise it as a helpful suggestion. I just laughed it off and said I already had a stylist helping me, and we were going dress shopping soon. That seemed to really irk her. She replied with something like, "Must be nice to spend that much on a dress you'll only wear once." Personally, I think it's better to be practical. That would have been fine, except I later found out from my aunt that Talia had once spent nearly $5,000 on a custom birthday gown, complete with a tiara and a limo rental. Practicality, my butt. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but it was only just beginning. As I said, we were keeping the guest list relatively small, so I wasn't doing bridesmaids other than my sister-in-law and my 2 best friends. Talia wasn't in the bridal party, which I think bruised her ego. She never said anything directly, but she kept dropping passive-aggressive comments in the family group chat. Examples: "Wish I had enough real friends to be a bridesmaid." One day, L loudly crying face. "It's cool that you're keeping it intimate." "I'd probably have way too many people fighting to be included grinning face with sweat. But your friends are already fighting over who gets to give the speech." Okay. Then came the day I shared a picture of my wedding shoes in our family group chat. They were ivory block heels with tiny pearls. Simple but elegant. Talia immediately responded with, "Cute. I wore those to a work party once. Didn't know we were doing casual weddings, now face blowing a kiss." I was stunned. My aunt later tried to smooth it over by saying, "You know how Talia is. She means well. She just speaks her mind." Yeah, she sure does. So here's where things started getting really weird. We had a small engagement party about 4 months before the wedding. Talia showed up 40 minutes late, which was whatever, but walked in wearing a white dress. Not ivory, not cream. White, with a full face of makeup, heels, and hair done up like she was going to prom. I remember my friend Tara pulling me aside and whispering, "Dude, is that girl wearing a wedding dress?" It wasn't an actual bridal gown, but it was way too close for comfort. My mom tried to laugh it off. "She's just overdressed, sweetie. Let it go." Talia acted like nothing was wrong, floating from table to table, introducing herself to people as the bride's favorite cousin. We're literally the only cousins in our generation. At one point, I caught her standing next to Josh while our photographer was snapping candids, striking poses like she was his fiancée. Josh, bless him, was visibly uncomfortable and said something like, "Talia, I think the photographer's just trying to get shots of her and me right now." She laughed loudly and said, "Oh, please, I make everything look better. He should pay me to be in these." I wanted to scream, but again I let it go. I didn't want drama. I told myself, she'll chill out by the time the actual wedding happens. Oh, how naive I was. About 2 months before the wedding, my mom called me, clearly uncomfortable. "Mom, sweetheart, did you send Talia a +1? Me? Nope. She's not dating anyone. And I didn't give +1s to anyone who wasn't in a long-term relationship." "Mom, well, she told your aunt that she's bringing someone, a new boyfriend." I sighed. I hadn't heard anything about a boyfriend, but I reached out to Talia to clear it up. Me, "Hey, just wanted to double-check something. We're keeping things small for the wedding, so only long-term partners are getting +1s. Hope that's okay." She left me on read for 3 days, then replied with, "Got it. Just weird that I'm family and not allowed a +1, but it's your day." Smiley face. I didn't respond. At this point, I was emotionally exhausted from her nonstop antics. I started low-key dreading the wedding because I knew she'd pull something. I just didn't know what. Then came the big day. We had planned a simple but beautiful ceremony in a garden-style venue just outside the city. Late spring, perfect weather, tons of flowers, white chairs, the works. The ceremony was scheduled for 4:30 p.m. Guests were asked to arrive around 4 o'clock to be seated. Josh and I weren't doing a first look, so I was tucked away in the bridal suite with my MOH and bridesmaids. At 4:20 p.m., the coordinator came in to tell us that everyone had arrived and they were getting ready to start, and I remember feeling this rush of excitement. Then at 4:41 p.m., just after the music started and the officiant was stepping up, the coordinator came rushing back in, out of breath and looking concerned. "Coordinator, sorry, we have a bit of an issue. A guest just arrived late, and she's wearing a white dress. Like, a very white wedding dress." I didn't even have to ask who. My bridesmaid Lily looked me dead in the eyes and whispered, "It's Talia, isn't it?" "Yep, Talia." Here's how guests later described her entrance. She walked in slowly like it was her moment. She wore a white lace mermaid-style gown that literally looked bridal. Floor length, sheer sleeves, delicate beading, and a damn train. Her hair was curled and pinned back with a sparkly hair comb. She had white heels, white clutch, white nails, and a freaking veil-like shawl around her shoulders. Let me repeat, this was my cousin, not someone getting married. And she walked in 20 minutes late, during the opening of my actual wedding ceremony. From what I was told after, my great-aunt actually stood up when Talia entered, thinking she was a bride and that the ceremony was just starting late. One of Josh's friend's wives whispered, "Wait, is there a second bride?" Another guest thought it might be a vow renewal happening at the same time, because the dress was at bridal. It wasn't just white, it was wedding white. Some people looked visibly uncomfortable. My cousin-in-law, Claire, told me later that several people were craning their necks and whispering during the first half of the ceremony, and one guest even said, "Is this a joke?" Instead of quietly sneaking into the back row like a normal person, Talia waltzed up to the second row, where my immediate family was seated, and motioned for one of my mom's friends to scoot over. She acted like a VIP guest arriving late to a gala. My mom, bless her, leaned over and whispered, "Talia, what are you wearing?" She smiled and said, "Oh, come on, Aunt Linda. You know I love dressing up. It's a celebration, isn't it?" My mom looked horrified. She told me she seriously considered asking her to leave right then, but didn't want to disrupt the actual ceremony further. Josh and I walked down the aisle, music swelling, petals everywhere, and I was glowing. But the moment I saw the white figure standing off to the side, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. For a second, I actually felt sick, like my body recognized a red flag before my brain did. There she was, Talia, in her bridal knockoff glory, smiling like a pageant queen, acting like she belonged on a magazine cover. I locked eyes with her for just a second, and she gave me a wink. A wink. After the ceremony, we moved into the cocktail hour. I pulled my mom aside and said, "Me, did you see her dress?" Mom, "Oh, honey." Everyone saw it. Lily, my MOH, was fuming. She grabbed a glass of champagne and said, "I swear to God, if she tries to insert herself into pictures, I'm pushing her into the damn fountain." We were trying to keep the energy positive, but then my photographer came up to me and said, "Photographer, hey, just FY, one of your guests asked for some solo photos by the Flower Arch. She's in a white gown, and I assumed it was a second dress of yours." I nearly choked. Apparently, Talia had pulled the photographer aside while we were still doing group photos and asked him to take some glamour shots of her by my Flower Arch. He was confused, but since she was dressed like a bride and had a pro-level confidence about her, he assumed she was part of the day. I excused myself and walked over to where Talia was standing, sipping wine and laughing with one of my co-workers, who clearly didn't realize what was going on. I said, as nicely as I could muster, "Hey, Talia, can I ask why you're wearing a wedding dress to my wedding?" She blinked innocently and said, "What? This isn't a wedding dress. It's just a formal gown. It's ivory. IT was white as snow, as printer paper, as every bridal gown ever." She went full gaslight mode. "You're being dramatic. It's a completely different silhouette than yours. You said semi-formal. This is semi-formal. You know I don't like pastels. White is neutral. God, it's not like you own the color white." At this point, my patience was gone. I told her flat out, "You knew exactly what you were doing. You showed up late and made a scene. You wore white to my wedding. That's not okay." She rolled her eyes and said, "Not everything's about you. Opie, you've had months of engagement posts and planning, and everyone fawning over you. Can't I have one night where I feel pretty too?" Then she said, "If anything, people were complimenting me all night. Maybe you should have gone with a more flattering cut." My jaw dropped. That's when my husband Josh, who had been nearby, finally stepped in. He put his arm around me and said, "Okay, that's enough. You either go change or you leave. Your choice." Talia laughed, like this was all one big joke, and said, "Oh my God, relax. You're making such a scene. People are watching." Josh calmly replied, "Yeah, because you made one." She scoffed, grabbed her wine glass, and stormed off, but not before muttering, "Whatever, bridezilla much." I honestly wanted to let it go and enjoy the night, but then one of the waitstaff came up to me half an hour later and said, "Ma'am, there's a guest in white who's refusing to leave the photo booth. She's posing for photos and telling other guests they can't come in until she's done." That was it. Josh and I walked over to the photo booth area and saw her striking solo poses with props and hogging the camera. Several guests were waiting awkwardly, not sure what to do. Josh told the staff, "She's done. Please ask her to leave the booth." Talia, now visibly drunk, slurred, "You're just mad I look better than your little wife." That was the final straw. Security was called. They escorted her outside. She screamed something about how she was family and that we were jealous of her confidence. My aunt, her mom, tried to intervene, but security was already walking her to the curb. Talia ended the night by calling my mom a fake feminist and saying weddings were just heteronormative pageants for insecure girls. What a classy exit. Update. If you're just joining, here's the quick recap. My cousin Talia showed up late to my wedding wearing a literal white wedding gown, tried to steal attention all night, insulted me, got kicked out by security, and stormed off like we were the problem. The morning after the wedding, I kid you not, less than 10 hours after she was escorted out, Talia posted a reel on Instagram. It was set to a trending audio clip and featured slow-mo clips of herself strutting into the venue that someone must have filmed, twirling by the Flower Arch, and posing in front of our wedding cake. The caption? "When you accidentally outshine the bride, hashtag oops, hashtag cousin goals, hashtag all eyes on me." She tagged the venue, used our wedding hashtag, and didn't include a single picture of me, Josh, or literally anyone else. She even added a comment under her own post that said, "To the haters, calm down. It's just a dress. Some of us are naturally magnetic. I can't help it, nail polish." I wasn't even mad at first. I was in shock. Josh and I were lying in bed, scrolling through our phones with a wedding afterglow when I saw it, and we both burst out laughing in disbelief. My mom tried to be diplomatic and messaged Talia privately. "Mom, sweetheart, the dress situation was very inappropriate, and we all want to move forward. But the Instagram post is hurtful. Could you please take it down?" Talia replied in the group chat, not privately, publicly. She said, "If Opie was so insecure, maybe she shouldn't have thrown such a basic wedding. I didn't do anything wrong. I just look good. Sorry, not sorry." Cue a group chat eruption. My aunt, Talia's mom, tried to do damage control by saying, "Let's all calm down." Talia didn't mean to steal attention. She just wanted to feel included. And my cousin-in-law, Claire, clapped back with, "Wearing a wedding dress to someone else's wedding isn't feeling included. It's hijacking the day." That was when Talia left the chat, but not before dropping one last message. "Y'all are obsessed with me. Therapy's a thing, look into it." Boom. Gone. She blocked me, my husband, my mom, and 2 of my bridesmaids on social media, which was kind of a relief. 3 days later, I got a Venmo request from Talia. No, really. She requested $367.49 with the note, partial reimbursement for makeup, hair, shoes, and dry cleaning after being thrown out unfairly. I didn't respond. But my husband? He did. Josh sent her back 1 cent with the caption, "Here's a penny for your thoughts. Keep the change. Reader, I married this man for a reason.